Hey there, friend, gather around. Got a story that's waiting to be found. Welcome to the Bulletin, the vibes are right. Well, memories flow under the soft moonlight. Dusting off the pages, let's turn them back. Through laughter and whispers, we're on the right track. Each episode a treasure, each thought a spark. With the Unwritten Podcast, we're light in the dark, so let's reminisce.
It's episode number 2 of the Bulletin Unwritten Podcast. Bulletin Blair here, and it's Sunday, September 14th, 2025. Hope you're having a great weekend. September is already half over. Can you believe it? Don't forget, the Bulletin is a print magazine published 11 times a year here in East Gwillimbury. In the current edition, a couple of great stories about the first LEGO League Championships and a trip to Fan Expo in Toronto back in August. Check out the September edition now. If you aren't in our immediate distribution area, visit our website at egbulletin.com to read it online. A couple of great events coming up to tell you about first. First is the EG Library's annual giant used book sale on September 19th and 20th at the Holland Landing Community Centre. It's a great way to pick up some used books and DVDs and help support our library. The other one is the annual Farm to Fork Tour on October 4th. This is probably my favorite event of the year here in EG. You get a chance to explore some local farms, see what they do, pick up some amazing produce, and shop local. And you'll get a behind-the-scenes tour at some of the farms around. For more information, visit egfarmtofork.ca. Okay, on the show today is Ward 3 Councillor Scott Crone. Scott's a longtime resident of Mount Albert, and he's always a fun guy to chat with. I sat down with him recently for this interview. Today I am with Ward 3 Councillor Scott Crone. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so you've been a councillor here in East Gwillimbury since 2018.
That's right.
Give us a little bit of background, how you got into politics, and we'll start there.
Okay. Well, I grew up in this town in East Gwillimbury, Mount Albert specifically. I've always been connected to the community one way or the other. My folks really try to instill, community involvement, and whether I help out with certain fundraising events or community groups, whatever. I got involved with local politics quite young. Jim Mortson, who was a councillor back in the 80s and 90s, he saw that I was interested. I'd show up. My family had the bakery in town, and so I was the guy that volunteered to be on the Chamber of Commerce representing the bakery. I got to know Jim, and when he was deciding to run for mayor, he actually asked me to help out on his campaign. That really got the bug in me. I would later go on. I worked on Parliament Hill for our local member of Parliament at the time, and she was from Mount Albert, Karen Crofts-Sloan. Back then it was a great job, but it was a lousy career. So I knew I couldn't do it forever. At that time, I just bought my first house and I had a mortgage to pay and all that, and so I gave up politics for the glamour of insurance and worked in the insurance industry for about 20 years. It was an entry level job, and I eventually worked my way up to vice president of underwriting, production, distribution rather, and marketing. So it was a fun ride. Started to get, when I was waking up in the morning, I wasn't having that excitement to go into work, and I knew when that started to happen, maybe it was time to change things, and an opportunity came along to take a package, and so I did that. They took very good care of me, and it just happened to be an election year, and I decided to run for council, and that's kind of a quick synopsis of how I got here. Just before I left my last company, I had a phone call from it was Jan Wheeler at the Corner Decor.
Okay,
and she had let me know. I think this was in the fall of 2017. We just learned that the TD Bank was pulling out.
Right.
And, that's a big thing, because the bank was an anchor for the downtown where it was a draw. People would come in, they do some banking. Maybe they pop into the paint store, grab a coffee, or it's important to have those anchor tenants downtown.
And a long time history in town, that bank.
Long time.
Yeah.
Many years. And so she said, we've got to do something about this. And I just happened to know the chairman of the board for Duca Credit Union. And it was just a happy coincidence. And so I reached out to him and I said, are you guys looking to expand? And funnily enough, they were. And I said, have I got the spot for you? And everything just lined up perfectly for us. And we were able to get Duca to come in. TD, I think, grudgingly sold them the building, but I don't think TD views credit unions as core competition.
Yeah, it's competition
BMO
the same way.
And RBC and that.
Sure.
So they were okay to sell it to Duca, and they've been a beautiful fit for the town and the community. It kind of lit a fire where I could have an impact on the community, and it got me thinking, and that led to my decision to run for politics, to run for council. And
you grew up in Mount Albert, so you left and then came back.
I lived when I went to university. I lived in Toronto for a bit, and when I worked in Ottawa, I lived there for a few years. I always kept coming back to Mount Albert. Was always home. East Gwillimbury was always home. I'm fortunate. There's myself, Terry Foster, and Brian Johns, who are on council. We grew up here and we still live here. Not everyone gets that opportunity. I worry about our kids today about being able to afford a place here. It's getting tougher and tougher, and so that's something we have to look at going forward. How do we provide attainable housing?
Yeah.
I think I paid about $130,000 for my first home. That's a down payment now.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy now, the cost of housing, and I mean pretty much everywhere. But
if you go back to 2019, so pre-COVID, the average sale price in East Gwillimbury for a house was just under $900,000. At the peak of COVID, so at our very height, it was just shy. The average sale price was just shy of $1.5 million, which is insane.
Wow.
For, in the span of 4 years to have that kind of inflationary pressure. So it pushes a lot of people out of the market.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Yeah. Okay, so you grew up in Mount Albert. You must have good memories of the town.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Because your family ran the bakery, as you said, and...
My family goes back 6 generations in East Gwillimbury. Very proud of that. Always proud to be from this town. Growing up as a kid, you always had to watch your behavior, because if you're out in public and acting up, well, chances are either a friend of your parents, a relative would see you. There was always lots of eyes on you, so you could not get away with anything. No, so you always had to behave, and I think that's just a good lesson for life. But it was a small town back then. There's in Mount Albert, I think we had about 800 people.
Yeah.
At the time, East Gwillimbury was probably, I don't even think we were 10,000 at that time. And when I was little, and I went to Mount Albert Public School, and I grew up on the farm. My dad still had the farm. That was, I won't say it was a Frank Capra type movie, but it was, it was a simpler time for sure.
Yeah.
But, involved with scouts, and great memories there, going to jamborees and camping, and I could go on and on. But lots of good stuff. Sports Day, of course.
Sports Day, yeah. They just celebrated 100 years.
Yeah. What a milestone.
Yeah. And you've probably gone to many of them.
I've gone to my fair share, and I was fortunate that I worked with Kathy Morton. Mm-hmm. My first term on council, we were ward mates. Kathy just had this institutional memory of Sports Day in the town and how everything kind of clicked together. And I could have asked for a better person to mentor me on council. She was a great person to work with and learn from. And she's still with us, and I keep in touch with her, and she's a great lady.
She ran a lot of Sports Day. Like that was her event.
Absolutely.
The time that she was doing it. Yeah. If you had a question about anything, she was the one to go to.
She knew where every pencil, every notepad, every rubber band that was involved with it. She knew exactly and who to call for the midway, for what to do at the beer tent. Like she had it all. She was.
It was a well-oiled machine when she was
100%.
Yeah, when she was there.
Yeah, a lot of respect for Kathy.
Okay, so we should talk about John Candy, because
oh my God,
he is back in the news in a big way because of the documentary that just premiered this past weekend at the Toronto International Film Festival. It's called I Like Me. Tell me what you remember about John Candy.
I never met John Candy in town. He lived on Doane Road, and he was very happy, I'm told, at his property there on Doane. I do recall I had a buddy that lived at the corner of Doane and Leslie in my early 20s, and I was driving one way along Doane to see him, and then this guy in I think it was a BMW, was racing the other way, and I, just as he's passing, I go, oh my God, that's John Candy. And I loved, when I first saw him in Second City, I was a kid that watched it when it first started, its first run show, season 1. I think it was on Global TV at the time, and they would have these, I don't know, it just spoke to me. It was this funny satire. They would do spoofs on Casablanca or Fantasy Island, or John Candy would, play the Incredible Hulk at one point. And just all these great bits. Back then, Global, it was, Canadian content was tough, so they probably play it on a Tuesday night, and then I'd gladly watch it again on a Saturday night when they played it again, because back then we didn't have VCRs, so we had to be ready to watch it. And but he was I'm told stories from folks in town that actually got to meet him. They'd bump into him at the convenience store, always so very friendly. There used to be a pizza place in town called Lentini's in Holland Landing, which was a bit of a landmark, and he would be in there buying pizza for his family, and he'd be chatting up people, and just life of the party, nice guy. You couldn't ask for a sweeter man. So I am so happy that he's getting his dues with this documentary. We have a street named after him.
That's right. Yeah.
And I would love to figure out how we could do a screening here.
That would be awesome.
In town. We've got to figure that out. But I'll put a plug. The Friends of the Library are doing an event in November where there's a book that's written about him, about John Candy, and it's by another Second City alumni, Mike Myers.
Oh,
his brother. His brother has written it. I believe his name is David. I may get that wrong.
Okay.
But so stay tuned. There'll be plenty of information about that. But I'm going to that. That's going to be a fun one.
That'll be cool. Yeah.
Mike Myers' brother wrote this little book on John Candy. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you have a favorite John Candy movie?
Oh,
because he did a lot of really classic ones.
For me, it's a toss up between Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which the line "I Like Me" comes from.
Yeah,
but also Uncle Buck is just so laugh out loud.
Yes,
funny. Where his interaction with the school principal is probably one of those exchanges that's just seared into my memory.
Yes, and the mole, holy moly.
Yeah, I'm Rusty Mole's wart.
Yes, that was
Here's a quarter. Go downtown and get a rat to gnaw that thing off your face.
Yep, those are some great lines that he had.
The line about John Candy that I think the Prime Minister made, which I think is perfect. He stands up to bullies. That's been a thread throughout his career. The characters that he plays in his career. So, what a great guy to be emblematic of Canada.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you saw on social media, there were posts about the Toronto International Film Festival this weekend. Ryan, who made the film, he showed up at the premiere in a car that was made to look like the car that burned up in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, smoking.
Brilliant. And I actually sent a tweet to Ryan Reynolds and Colin Hanks, who directed the doc, to say, hey, what does a guy have to do to get a screening in his hometown? And I said a little more than that.
Yeah.
But that was, I haven't heard back yet. Not expected to, but
well, you never know. You never know. That would be a cool.
Absolutely.
It'd be neat to do it at the Health and Active Living Plaza.
Yeah, you know what? That will be open about a week after, because it premieres on Amazon Prime streaming
In October, yeah.
October 10th. So the help opens about a week later. So,
Yeah. So that's another
there you go.
thing we could talk about briefly.
Yeah.
Health and Active Living Plaza. That's a long time coming.
That has been in the
Project.
works. I know Mayor Haxon and Councillor Roy DiClemente have been pushing hard for that since 2010 when they were first elected. When I got elected in 2018, we actually saw through the design, all the details for that, and we actually approved it back last term, and so happy to get it coming
Seemed like
together.
it might never happen because COVID happened in there, and then that just threw everything for a loop.
COVID was brutal because it affected supply chains, costs. The costs of this went up, but I'm glad we pulled the trigger when we did, because there were a bunch of other municipalities that had similar projects that decided to delay it even longer, and they're now paying the price.
Yeah,
that it's
costing them more.
It's gone up exponentially more. So
yeah,
this is Help will be a world-class facility. We're going to have a great swimming area. There's going to be a library branch there that's going to have makerspace, music studio. There's going to be a functioning gourmet kitchen.
Yeah,
and that's where you can learn, to cook and
cooking
and
classes, and
there's going to be a gym, a track. And there's going to be so much more. It's every citizen of East Gwillimbury should be proud of this place, and it's theirs. We can call it our own. We don't, we were the last. EG was the last municipality in New York Region to get a pool. You have to have progress. You have to provide services for the citizenry. So having to go to Newmarket to swim was just, to me, crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we could do this. It's we owe it to the residents to deliver on this, and I'm glad we will finally be able to do that in about a month's time.
Yeah. And I feel like there's really something for everyone with this. Like
100%. Yeah.
It's not just a pool. It's, it's a library branch, and it's not even just a library branch. There's a lot of other things that they're going to be doing. I feel like a lot of people don't see how much the library is offering here in East Gwillimbury.
The library, it's no longer just about books.
No.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
Before I ran for council, the thing that I found phenomenal was you could rent a broadband hub. Not rent, they'd sign out.
You could get like the stick. You could rent these things from the library. Yeah.
And I live on a country road, and so my internet was horrible. Absolutely. I got 2 megabits down, which is barely dial up. That was one of the things I ran on my first time, was to improve internet. But that was something that the library did. You can download audiobooks. You can download, you can stream movies. So there's if you're looking to save money, there's a cheap replacement to Audible. There's a cheap replacement to Netflix. There's entertainment that you can have without having to incur extra costs.
Now you can get tools. You can get gardening stuff.
Yeah.
They have a seed library. There's just amazing amount of stuff that you can
We have a great library.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what the new branch will look like. It'll be very modern.
When you come to the library, you'll see the other things that are offered, like the pool and the programs and lots of stuff. So I think residents will, as much as some complain about where it is or accessing it,
Yeah, being from Mount Albert, I get it. We're kind of the Alaska of East Gwillimbury. We're not part of the contiguous communities, but 70% of the population lies west of the 404.
Yeah,
and so unfortunately, you have to put these things where the population is.
Yeah,
now
it makes sense to where it is. Yeah,
we still have actually more recreation facilities and parks and trails per capita more than any other ward here in Ward 3. So we're not doing too bad in that respect.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more we can do. I would love to see in the Mount Albert Park, I know we're talking about the help, but we're going to take a tangent here. I'd love to see an outdoor refrigerated ice rink in our park.
I think a lot of people would use that.
If I could make that happen before I retire or I'm defeated, I would like to make that up, because right now, we flood the old tennis court, and you're lucky if you get 6 weeks of use out of it.
Yeah, some years they can't even do it because it's too mild.
No,
right?
and climate is changing. When I was a kid, you could get.
Yeah, it would be a full winter season.
And now it's not. So I think we need to do something like that, an outdoor refrigerated rink. We could really make that park a destination and a draw to bring more people into our downtown and to our community. I think it would be good for everyone.
Yeah.
Help small business in the downtown, and be great for residents so they don't have to go somewhere else to go skating.
Yeah.
And, what's more Canadian than skating?
Well, exactly. Okay. So how about the future of Mount Albert? Where do you see Ward 3 in particular?
Well, we're in a, I joked about us being the Alaska of East Gwillimbury, but in many ways that's not a terrible thing, because we are surrounded by a sea of greenbelt, and we are pretty much built out. So if you came here because you like the small community village feel that we have, you're in a good spot. It's not going to grow much larger. We have a development on the top of the hill, Mount Albert Road, with the 9th line. That's probably going to happen within the next 5 years or so. There's another community that's planned 29 units, the corner of Center and King, part of the old Rice development. So other than that, we're built out. We'll have some more commercial activity, I hope, to get the economic development going. But that is, from a development standpoint, we're pretty much maxed out.
Yeah. So what you see is what it's going to be.
Yeah. All the folks hoping for another grocery store or I think the vast majority of people come here because they like the small town feel. Anytime I meet somebody that's just moved here, I ask, "Why did you come here? What?" I said, "I grew up here. I didn't have a choice." Why did you? And they say, it's a small town. We love the vibe, and this is a great place to raise kids. For the most part, within a 15-20 minute drive, you have access to just about everything you need.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. So
traffic, anytime I drive anywhere close to Toronto, 401, 407, it's just gridlock, no matter where you go.
I worked for a period of time on Bay Street. I did that every day. I took the GO train down, and it was about an hour's commute, door to door. On the days that I had other appointments outside of the office, I had to drive, and the thought of driving downtown gives me chest pains now. So that's Mount Albert, and then on with East Gwillimbury, the town, there's a lot of exciting things happening with, we're having the help that's going to open in October, and we're on the short list to get a hospital.
That's right. Yeah.
If that happens, that is going to, not only will it be great for access to healthcare for residents that we need, but it's going to open up an economic development opportunity, the likes of which we've never seen before. It's going to attract great paying jobs. There's just going to be a spin-off factor, great potential for economic development here.
Is that a long process?
It is.
When are they?
It is. I may be
planning.
I may be in my 70s by the time. It can take 10 to 15 years. For it to happen. So it's a long process. There's it's a lot of money to build a hospital. There's some fundraising that we have to do locally,
right?
Which I know everyone will be happy to help out with. To me, the opportunities are limitless if we can get it. So everyone keep their fingers crossed that we make it. We're on the short list. I think we've got the best site, and hopefully we'll nail it. But there's that, and the town is going to grow considerably over the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Where we will actually be, we'll probably outpace Newmarket in population and Aurora and Stouffville. And at the end of that, even when we're built out, we'll still be 83% green. Like, we'll still protect all that farmland and that's in the green belt. And as long as the province sees the virtue of that, we'll be this real gem in the GTA of having a huge urban population, but have a rural component. Will be a nice mix. Great opportunity for farm to fork, and
and we have so many great farms around here, and the stuff that they grow, just it's amazing when you start looking at it.
My dad was a potato farmer growing up.
Right, that's right.
We had potatoes on the table every day. You remember that
scene? Potatoes every night.
You remember that scene from Forrest Gump where he meets Bubba, and Bubba's telling him all the different ways of preparing shrimp?
Yep.
Well, I could do that. That was every night, some different variation of potatoes.
Well, that's great.
No disrespect to potatoes.
No. But after a while, you get...
Yeah, I was happy to
your fill of potatoes. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up here. Is there anything else you wanna tell residents about? You want to plug your social media? Go right ahead.
You can find me on Facebook. I'm usually there. I try and... do something a few times a week. I'm not, I don't crazy post every day. I try and be a little thoughtful with what I put out there. And I'm doing this thing now called 3 Questions with Scott, where I'm trying to promote small business in town, because it's small business. It's times are tough, and people are hanging on to their money a little tighter these days. Anything I can do to help out the small business community is a good thing. And my family had, my dad was very entrepreneurial. He had the bakery and the tree farm and the farm, of course, the potato farm. So I know what it's like, and we need to help people out. But thanks for having me on this.
Thanks very much for taking the time.
I'm sure this will be a low point in your guests, and things will only get better from here.
We can only go up from here.
Yeah. So
all right.
Thanks for taking the time with me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Scott. That's going to wrap it up for me for episode number 2 of the Bulletin Unwritten Podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you again next time.